My name is Maya, and I am 26 years old. I am an artist, but for the last few months, I haven't been able to paint anything. I felt stuck, like my imagination had gone to sleep. To find some inspiration, I decided to visit a small street market in my town. I was walking past tables of old clocks and dusty dishes when I saw a beautiful, leather-bound book. It looked very old and had no title on the cover. I bought it for $5 and took it home. That evening, as I sat by the window with my tea, I started flipping through the pages. The book was full of hand-drawn sketches of stars and flowers. Suddenly, as I reached the middle of the book, I noticed that two pages were stuck together. I carefully peeled them apart. To my surprise, there was a small hollow square cut into the pages. Inside the square sat a golden locket. It was shaped like a heart and had a tiny bird engraved on the front. I picked it up and it felt warm in my hand. I tried to open it, but it was locked tight. There was no keyhole, just a small symbol of a sun on the side. Who did this belong to? I wondered. I felt a spark of excitement that I hadn't felt in a long time. I knew I couldn't open this alone. I remembered Leo, a guy I knew who worked at the local library. He was 28 and knew everything about local history and old objects. I grabbed my coat and the locket. For the first time in months, I didn't feel stuck. I had a mystery to solve, and I couldn't wait to show Leo what I had found. I ran all the way to the town library. The building was old and quiet, smelling of paper and wood. I found Leo sitting at a large oak table surrounded by thick history books. He was 28, wore glasses, and always seemed to be thinking about something from 100 years ago.
Leo!
You won't believe what I found, I said, putting the locket on the table. Leo looked up and his eyes widened. He picked up the golden locket and examined it closely with a magnifying glass. Maya, this isn't just jewelry, he whispered. This bird on the front is the symbol of the Thorn family. They lived in this town a long time ago. He noticed the tiny sun symbol on the side. The sun is the key, he said. He took a small, bright flashlight and pointed the light directly at the sun symbol. Suddenly, there was a soft ping sound. The locket popped open. Inside, there wasn't a photo. Instead, there was a tiny, folded piece of very thin paper. We carefully unfolded it on the table. It was a coded map. It didn't show streets or houses. It showed a pattern of trees and a small stone fountain. At the bottom, a sentence was written in tiny letters. Where the shadow of the moon meets the heart of the rose, the truth waits. I know this place, Leo said, looking excited. This is the garden of the old Blackwood mansion at the edge of town. It has been abandoned for 50 years. I felt a rush of adrenaline. Leo, we have to go there. If the Thorn family hid this map in a book, there must be something incredible waiting in that garden. Leo grabbed his bag and smiled at me. Then let's go. Maya, let's see if we can find the heart of the rose. The sun was beginning to set as Leo and I reached the gates of the Blackwood mansion. The house was huge and dark, with broken windows and vines crawling up the walls. It looked like a ghost from the past. The map shows the garden is behind the house, Leo said. Checking the small piece of paper, we pushed through the heavy iron gates and walked to the back. The garden was a jungle. Tall grass, thorny bushes, and wild trees were everywhere. It took us a long time to find the stone fountain mentioned on the map. It was covered in moss and didn't have any water, but the shape was exactly the same as the drawing. Okay, I said, looking at the locket again. The clue said, where the shadow of the moon meets the heart of the rose. Since the moon wasn't out yet, we looked for a rose. In the center of the garden, we found a single giant rose bush that was still alive. It was surrounded by a circle of stones, Leo used his flashlight to act like the moon, shining it from a high angle. We watched as the shadow of a nearby tall tree moved across the ground. Look, I pointed. The shadow of the tree's tip landed exactly on a large, red stone at the base of the rose bush. This stone had a heart shape carved into it. Leo and I knelt down and started to move the heavy stone. My heart was thumping in my chest. Underneath the stone, we found a small metal box. It was rusted, but it looked like it had been waiting for us for a very long time. Should we open it now? Leo asked, his voice shaking with excitement. I looked at the box, then at Leo. This was the most alive I had felt in years. Yes, I said. Let's see what the Thorn family was hiding. Leo slowly opened the lid of the rusted metal box. Inside, we didn't find gold or diamonds. Instead, we found something much more beautiful. The box was filled with glass jars of old, dried pigments, vibrant blues, deep reds, and shimmering golds, along with a stack of old letters and a sketchbook. I picked up the sketchbook. It belonged to a woman named Clara Thorne. As I flipped through the pages, I realized she was a famous artist who had disappeared from history. Her sketches were breathtaking. The letters explained that she had hidden her best colors and her secret techniques here, hoping that one day a true artist would find them and bring color back to the world. Maya, look at these colors, Leo whispered, touching a jar of shimmering gold dust. They are rare. You can't find these anymore. As I held Clara's sketchbook, I felt a sudden surge of energy. My creative block was gone. I could see exactly what I wanted to paint. I realized that Clara and I were connected through our love for art, even though she lived 100 years ago. 1 year later, my life has changed completely. I am now a successful artist, and my latest gallery show, called The Locket Secret, is a huge success. I used Clara's rare pigments to create paintings that look like they are glowing. Leo and I are still the best of friends, and maybe a little more. He still works at the library, but now he helps me research history for my new paintings. We often sit in the garden of the Blue House, which I helped fix, and talk about our next adventure. At 26, I learned that inspiration can be found in the most unexpected places, like an old book or a forgotten garden. I am no longer a girl who is stuck. I am Maya, the artist who found her spark in a golden locket. And that is how a simple golden locket brought color back into my life. It's amazing how one small discovery can change your whole world. If you loved following Maya and Leo's mystery, please give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next adventure. Thank you so much for being part of my story today. See you in the next video. Bye.